Just trying to figure something out. I was talking to Andre. I want to send this recording to our YouTube channel so that people in the community can watch it if they like. But I'm having some trouble. Usual for Monday.
Doesn't necessarily have to be Monday when it comes to technology with me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Hey, Lee. Hey, Kaylee.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm just saying I'm having some technical problems. And my what's that? My mobile phone has 5 times today refused to send my voice to whoever I've called. I have to hang up and call again. Hey, Gary, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, good. Just letting people in here one at a time.
All right.
Should have had this meeting outside here. It's beautiful outside.
It is beautiful for sure. The weekend was wonderful.
Yeah. I see you're in San Francisco. Good for you.
Yeah, it's a little windy here today. I wish.
Yeah, yeah. Hey there, Rusty. You look a little different this afternoon, my friend.
Hey.
Holy
Like-
smoke, I didn't even recognize him.
If I didn't see your name on the bar here, I wouldn't know who you were. I'd have said, hey, who are you?
Oh my
Gonna have
God.
to shave it off.
Hey?
Gonna have to shave it off.
No, it looks pretty good. When did you decide to do that? You've done that before.
About 3 weeks ago.
Have you had one in the past?
About 30 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Once. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it looks pretty good. As I said, I didn't recognize you. If I didn't see your name there, I wouldn't have known who you were. And that's grown a lot since our council meeting 2 weeks ago. Wow.
Yeah. Time for a cut.
Here comes Jane. She won't know who you are either.
Beauty day.
Isn't it though? Just saying, we should have had this outside.
Yeah.
Hey, good afternoon, Jane. I think Jane's staring at your picture, Rusty, and wondered, who the heck is that? Everybody's
Hello,
getting
everybody.
smaller and smaller. Hey, Hassan.
Yeah.
Who am I waiting for? I'd offer you coffee, but it's pretty weak. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Well, I'm having some technical problems, but that's par for the course on a Monday.
I guess so.
Yeah. No, I'm just, Andre's trying to help me. I wanted to live stream this to YouTube so that residents can watch it this afternoon or go to the channel tonight or sometime and watch it later. Oh. There's Ben. I think we're just waiting on, yeah, I think we're just waiting on Staff Sergeant McMullen.
Okay.
He's got the longest drive down from North Bay, so he'll be a little bit later coming in.
I wouldn't
Yes,
cut
but
him in his, I
He can
wouldn't cut
speed
him in
without
his.
consequence.
What's that?
I said he can speed without consequences.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Any calving today, Randy?
Yeah, there's three of them got that shifty look in their eye, but nothing yet. They took a break for 4 to 5 days.
Oh, yeah. And they know you have this meeting, right? So they're giving you some time off?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Good.
They've been waiting and waiting for bad weather and it's just not coming.
All right. Oh, there's Ben. Hi, Ben.
Hi there, how are you?
Good. You?
Good, thanks.
And Louise, you're here. You're just not on camera. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm just getting used to Zoom.
Okay. No problem at all. We're just waiting on Staff Sergeant McMullen, and then we'll go ahead. Yeah, I think everybody's here that's supposed to be here except Bill. The premier made an announcement, Randy, at 1 o'clock. You know what it was about?
No, I don't.
No, I don't either.
I'll do some on the spot research.
Yeah. Some friends here in Muskoka texted me because they were afraid that they were going back into lockdown. They've only been out of lockdown now for just a little over a week.
$1.2 billion going to hospitals to meet pandemic crunch on revenues.
Ah, okay. Well, it's 2:03. I like to start on time for my meeting, so I think maybe we'll just start off with a welcome from the mayor, and then we'll go around the table and introduce ourselves. And then maybe by that time, Staff Sergeant McMullen will have joined us. So you could just kick this off, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this initial takeoff of our community safety and well-being plan. That plan is something that has been on our list of things to do now for almost a year and a half or more, in that it was mandated by the province quite some time ago. And as everybody knows, there's been a lot happen with the province and communities and us as individuals ever since, related to COVID-19 and other such things. So they've granted an extension to the initial timeline that was first declared. But having said that, we are still up against a schedule. And we have quite a bit of work to do in our particular plan, or in fact, all the work to do. And we have a deadline to meet. So I want to thank everybody for taking up the challenge of helping us to build our plan, along with our consultant and staff members who are going to contribute to it. there's probably a very limited number of people that I'm looking at on the screen that know what a community safety and well-being plan is, because they've never been involved before, and I'm one of them. So don't feel that you have unawareness of this. It's all brand new, and as a result, we need to work towards creating a plan specific to our municipality, using the guidance of those that are joining us, Mr. Fay and others who have done this type of thing before. So having said that, I would like to just basically go across the screen, or I can call you out by name if you prefer that to indicate your turn, but we just want to introduce ourselves to one another in this virtual way of doing business, so that we know who we are and why we're here and volunteering in this way. So I'll start with chatty Mr. Johnston at the top of the screen, and then you can hand it off to whoever you like.
Okay, well, thank you. As usual, Mr. Mayor, I couldn't have said it any better. Thank you for those remarks. Yeah, we'll just go around. I'll call out names based on your entry points, so that I'm not showing any favoritism. It's just I'll call you out your name as you arrive. So my name is Peter Johnson, as the sign says, and I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for the Township of Bonfield. Very happy to have you all here. Usually I'm the epitome of humility, but I got to say, looking around this room here, I chose a pretty good committee, some help. So I'm excited to get into this project. So I'll start with let me see here. Well, on the top of my list is Ben. So Ben, there you are. Want to just introduce yourself, Ben, and sort of what part of the community you're most interested in that you can help us out with?
Yeah, so Ben Tesla, resident in Bonfield. I did sit on the Fitness and Recreation Committee a few years ago, so I'm still interested in that aspect of it and bringing that to the wellness in the community. And hopefully I'll be able to contribute what I can.
Thank you very much, Ben. I'm glad to have you here. Doug. Good afternoon. Who are you and why are you here? Doug, you're on mute.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Doug LaPlante, and I'm the Director of Planning and Development for the Township of Bonfield. And I'm here to give assistance in whatever way I'm directed to do so.
Okay, thank you very much. And Gary, you're next on my list here, Gary Fay.
Hi there. Thank you for having me attend your inaugural meeting. It's pretty exciting for me anyway to see something like this come to fruition. So my name is Gary Fay, and I've been in the system of health services mostly for over 35 years now. And I bridged over to criminal justice a couple of years ago, and most recently worked with the Situation Table, which you may have heard of. It's called the Gateway Hub here in Nipissing. And I work actually part-time for North Bay Police Services. So it's sort of a natural progression to get into community safety well-being, as it started really when I was at the Situation Table. So I'm hoping to bring some of that project management and some of the experiences that I've had and how to implement things successfully, mostly in communities across the Northeast, to your table. And I'm really excited to work with you.
Okay. We're glad to have you here, Gary. I mentioned that to you before. Hassan Rouhani, where are you? Well, there you are. Unmute yourself, Hassan, and say hi to everyone here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Hassan Rouhani. I am climate change specialist of the Township of Bonfield. I started my career a couple of years ago with the township, and I will be happy to do any kind of contribution that I can do for this plan. In past 2 years, thanks to my colleagues, we had lots of community outreach, and I will be happy to do that again, or any other kind of contribution that could be useful to develop this very crucial plan.
Okay, thank you very much. We're happy to have you here, Hassan. Jane Lagasse, where are you, Jane?
I'm right here.
There you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Jane Lagasse. I'm a counselor for the Township of Bonfield. I'm also Chair of Planning and Development, and I'm looking forward to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Committee. I also work for the Algonquins of Ontario, so I guess I can a little bit of input from the Algonquin First Nation, perhaps. I'm happy to be here.
Jane's too humble. In addition to her role on council and her community activism, I was pleased to have Jane agree to join the committee because, as she said, she does a lot of work for the Algonquins and works for them in their office in Mattawa. So that perspective is needed in our work. So I'm glad to have Jane here. Kaylee Leather, somewhere on here, is our recording secretary. She's also our public works clerk and our fire department clerk. So say hi to everyone. Kaylee, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. Just as Peter said, office clerk for Township of Bonfield and recording clerk.
Happy to have you here. You do a great job on our emergency control group meetings minute notes every week, Kaylee. Lisa Groves, where's Lisa? There you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Groves. I am very honored to be on this committee. I am a huge supporter of community wellness, especially coming out of this pandemic. And I say coming out because I do believe that is going to happen over this next year. And I think that there's a lot of call for some community well-being, especially with mental health right now.
And Lisa, one of the other additional reasons why I was so pleased that you agreed to participate with us is that I understand, if I'm correct, that you also were involved in the safety and well-being plan for Oro-Medonte, correct? So you have some perspective on how this is done.
Yeah, and the emergency preparedness planning.
Okay.
That was my.
Good. You're a new business owner in Bonfield. We're very happy to have you here. So you also will bring some perspective regarding the community as someone who's new to the community. So that's that will be an asset for us too. Lisa Lard. Good afternoon.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for allowing me to be on this committee. I'm the branch manager at the community's financial institution, Caisse Populaire Alliance Limitée. And I'm looking forward to this committee because I'm always interested in contributing and helping those in our community.
Thank you, Lise. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Louise Gagne, welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Louise Gagne. I'm the Executive Director of Community Services at the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit. Pretty new to the role in the last couple of months, and prior to being in this role, I was the manager of the Planning, Evaluation and Communications Services at the health unit. And we'd be happy to help support in terms of planning or epidemiological data that you need to support your planning, as well as any support with developing surveys or implementing surveys.
Okay, and thank you for agreeing to join us. Mark, Rusty, where are you? Oh, there you are. In his new beard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mark Vancourt, also known as Rusty, as Peter said, counselor at Township of Bonfield. I'm also on the fitness rec committee, which I really enjoy, and also part of the fire department committee. So here to help out in any way I can, and looking forward to working with everyone. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Rusty. Appreciate that. And I need to, for the record, correct things. I said we were going to go in order of entry. And the first one in was Jill, and I left her to the last. So forgive me, Jill. I got things upside down today.
That's quite all right. Hello, everyone. I'm Jill Rathall. I'm a principal here at l'École Lorrain in Bonfield with Conseil Scolaire Catholique Franco-Nord. I'm also a special education coordinator with the board. I've been principal for 19 years now and have experience at both the elementary and the secondary level. So I'm looking forward to collaborating with everyone and getting to know you, as this is my 3rd year in Bonfield and I haven't met very many other people outside of the people that work in the school. So.
Well, again, thank you for joining us, Jill. And like I said at the outset, in terms of meeting new people, you got a good bunch right here. Cross section of all the good things, all the good people in Bonfield. So thank you for agreeing to join us. My colleague, my right hand lady, has joined us at the bottom, Andre Gagne, to try and help me quickly fix my problem with YouTube. I clicked on that button, Andre, not the one at the upper left, but the one at the right bottom under more. But you're saying it's not showing up on YouTube?
No, it's not. When you click on that record button, does it give you the option of record or YouTube live?
No, the more button down at the bottom. If I click on that, it says live on YouTube. I click that, and then I disappear for a minute and come back.
Yes.
But that's all.
That's what you should do. And then a browser will open up and it should start recording to YouTube.
Well, I did that again and disappeared, but we'll just have, if it doesn't show up live, we'll work it out for our next meeting, but it is being recorded. So we'll be able to let people know that it's available to watch. If they're not able to watch it live, they will be able to watch it on recording, right?
Okay, so I will post it to our channel after the meeting is done if we can't get YouTube then.
All right, thank you for popping in and helping us out. Thank you.
Have a good meeting.
Thank you very much. Okay, everyone, I'm going to turn it back over to our consultant, Gary Fay. Gary and I talked this morning. I said I'd like him just to do a bit of an overview of where we're at and what we're going to be doing. And he's putting some information there up now on the screen for you to have a look at. Turn it over to you, Gary. Thank you. Are you on mute, Gary?
Sorry, I had to come back out and go back in again.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I'm gonna repeat those platitudes because Peter, you're pretty humble in yourself by pulling together such a great committee that it really looks like the breadth of your community, and having everyone from First Nations represented to schools, to public health, to fire, to recreation. That's a pretty amazing group to pull together. So kudos to you for doing that.
I had help. Thank you.
So I'm going to go through just a brief presentation, which you should become accustomed to, because as committee members, you'll probably take the same presentation and present it to others. So this is a presentation that is a basic presentation for community safety and well-being for people that may have never even heard of the term. So it gives you an example, sort of a high-level view of what community safety well-being is all about and its mandate from the ministry, and some of the key components of how to not just implement, but how to sustain a committee that is concerned with community safety and its well-being. So as Peter noted, I'm just going to move this out of the way here. As Peter noted, this is a higher order directive from the ministry, but at the same time, it's also a required resolution from council. And some of these things, although this is the inaugural meeting, when we get to look at a specific part of the implementation plan, the framework itself, you've checked off a number of boxes already. So Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you've already gone through a resolution and adopted one.
That's correct. Council did that back in January, I think, Gary, but that's been done, yes.
So that's a check off. That's the very first thing. If you don't have leadership leading, it's very difficult, as many of you know, to get anyone to follow. The other is establishing an advisory committee, which you're doing today. Now, this advisory committee, the initial one, may not be what it looks like in a year from now, but this is the starting point. As you become accustomed to the work that needs to be done, specifically and uniquely to your community, your committee may change. So you may add people to it, and some people may not be added to it. So you may have some ad hoc representation, and at times you may go down to smaller groups. One of the primary notions that you have to carry through with community safety and well-being is public consultation. This is a plan for the people, by the people. You are a representative of that community, but at the same time, you must have community buy-in. If you don't, your plan won't be realized as much as you try. What we will do is we'll establish plan priorities through the data that you're going to be getting together and developing some working groups. So the committee itself is not always to be the ones that are going to be doing the work. Committee members may be the leads of working groups, but the committee itself will attempt to establish experts in the field that can actually help realize and develop and recommend initiatives. And then so a misnomer is the implementation plan that I did develop for Bonfield is an implementation framework. It's not the plan itself. The plan itself is made up of content from your data, the surveys, the consultation, that creates your work plans for your community. Peter, can you tell me whether advisory committee members have received the implementation plan?
I believe that everything in the toolkit, Gary, that you provided and revised and tweaked from time to time, so you're doing a great job there. Everything in the toolkit was provided to everyone on the screen here. If some of the newer members, if I omitted sending it all to anyone, let me know after the meeting, and I'll make sure you get it. But I did try and send out the toolkit with all the component pieces to everyone as I brought them into the committee.
Great. So higher order from the ministry. So for those that don't know, it's under the Police Services Act. And where it's mandated that municipalities are required to develop and adopt a community safety and well-being plan. They are required to work in partnership with a multi-sectoral advisory committee, which is exactly what this committee looks like to me today, which is comprised of representation from the police. We'll have to have a discussion with the sergeant to see why he's late, but
you do that, please.
We'll hold him accountable for that. And other service providers, including, really amazing to see Case Populaire there, First Nations, school boards, public health, fire. It's just an amazing board, committee that you put together, Peter. And additional requirements are also outlined. So some of the things that they've learned from experience is that they may mandate things, but if there are no performance measures in place, we don't know whether you're successful or not. So they're telling us that not only will you put initiatives in place, but you're going to measure their success. So you need to know whether they're doing something good for your community or not. And although that sounds like common sense, it doesn't happen very often. So this is just the draft resolution that I had provided, and this is something you can share if you do present this to other groups. And Peter, you can just make sure that that is reflective of the resolution that was passed by council, but this would be the resolution which you can read or not.
Yeah, I thought, Gary, that I had provided you with that, but in any event, I know it was passed, and the mayor can confirm that, and Rusty and Jane, but I'll make sure that the copy was sent to you, and if not, I will do so.
All right. So that was the mandated section, the thou shall section. I like to look at it from a different perspective. I've been in mental health and addictions and housing and criminal justice for a number of years now. And it's not about the mandate, it's about doing things the right way. I've learned through experience, and I'm sure many of you have, that a problem can't be solved by one entity these days. And you do have to come together with resources, perspectives from a number of different cross sectors Police, ambulance, fire, public health, schools, local clergy, people with lived experience, the more the better. And you come up with better solutions and resolutions to the challenges that you're experiencing. And I think what happens over time is people give up because they don't see an opportunity for success. So the goal really for the township is to make sure through this diversity of this advisory committee that you get the services that you need. Your citizens get the services that they need when they need them, and in the most effective and efficient manner. So the mandate aside, this is really what we're all about. Some other, so community safety and well-being plans have been around for a little while, not for a long, long time. But out west, there are quite a few CSWB groups together. Ontario is really picking up speed, and there are more, and you can easily Google them. There are tons everywhere. And they primarily say the same things, except people like to take them and make them unique to their areas, which you should be doing, just as Bonfield is doing. But these are some of the positive impacts or effects that CSWB planning has across communities. You've actually enhanced communication so that it's broken down silos between different sectors. I believe it was the principal that was saying she was here for 3 years, but only have met people that were in the school system. This is another opportunity where community safety wellbeing has brought together a cohort of people with a similar goal to work together, and it just expands those relationships. Ultimately, the results of community safety and well-being make stronger families and improves healthy opportunities for children. It increases understanding of and focuses on priority risks and vulnerabilities. It transforms service delivery and realigns services and resources that may be redundant or duplicated. It increases engagement of community groups to work together. It increases awareness and coordination and access to services. It's had more effect in seamless service delivery for individuals with complex needs. And it creates new opportunities to share multi-sectoral data. As the rep from, I think it was Lisa, no, who was it? Who's from public health, sorry.
Louise.
Louise, yeah, so that we get evidence to better understand the community that we're living in. So the very first thing that you've done, checkbox, you've established an advisory committee. And again, this PowerPoint can be used again for general population. So it tells them what is the makeup of the committee. So the next step after you do that is to create resources collected through different sources. So you want to collect data not just from systems such as public health, EMS, DSAB, but you also require the person's voice. So you need the people that live in the community to be able to provide you with information to tell you what they think is a priority in their communities when it comes to community safety and well-being. So to do that, it's not a straightforward application. So we're going to be talking about surveys a little bit today, but that's only one way to reach out to people. There are a number of people out there, whether they're seniors or whether they're in a socioeconomic state where they don't have computers, they can't afford a computer or the internet. We have to be very creative in the way that we pursue people to get their input. So once COVID lifts, it will certainly help with us being able to do roundtables, community hall discussions, door to door. You have to find really, you have to be very creative in how you get information from everyone across your community. Historically, it's usually the loudest people we get the most input from, and we want to not only hear them, but hear the others that aren't as loud. So the more options you utilize, the more diverse the responses you're going to get, and the more successful ultimately that you will that you'll be. There's a point at the very bottom that speaks about people with lived experience. So if you're talking to individuals and you're working on an initiative that deals with addictions, then it's probably a really good point to get input from people that have lived experience, to know how they feel in the system and what they think the changes should be. No difference from First Nations, no difference from senior citizens. We should be involving the people that it directly impacts as well. It doesn't mean that they have to be on the committee all the time, but they should be accessed for their knowledge and their experience. This is an example, and this would be, this is a well fleshed out dashboard that one CSWB planning committee has put together, and we can get to that, but that's not the goal for today. So they've created a dashboard that's easily accessible on their website so that anyone can go to any one of these areas in education or healthcare or neighborhood and built environment or social and community context, which Steve identified as imperatives for community safety well-being. And you can click on them and see what the definition is. So under healthcare, as an example, they're really looking at access to healthcare, access to primary care, and health literacy. And so they would have initiatives attached to each one of these to help improve that. So the same thing goes with the economic stability or education. So it's a very streamlined click kind of access to information for people to see where their community's at. So we can get there. This is a plan that's probably been around for 4, 5, 6 years now. So we start small and we slowly grow it. And that's what's happening today. We're starting small and we're going to slowly grow and get better as we go. So one of the primary tasks of the advisory committee is to start the ball rolling. And to do that, we need to create some small working groups that specialize in and have knowledge and experience with the priority populations and risk factors identified through public consultation. So what that means is that we're looking for groups ultimately that will help identify initiatives to be recommended back to the advisory committee to say, we believe through best practice we should be doing in this community. So the advisory committee today will be looking at, we'll be talking about what sort of data, what sort of information do they need to go forward. So whether it's medical information, whether it's employment information, socioeconomic demographics of their community, on top of information from their citizenship in itself. So the process of the working groups, which I have identified on this slide, is so a working group will be developed with an expert. And then you're going to further investigate what that issue is that came to the table. Let me use an example of food safety. So we believe there's food safety issues, food security issues, sorry, in schools. We have a growing number of children that are accessing the breakfast club. I'm not sure if there's a breakfast club at your school, but this is an example. So someone comes to the table and says, I think there's a real issue with food security in our community. We see a large number of children accessing breakfast clubs. So if there's someone on the committee that is their sector and they know it well, they will lead a small group to investigate and talk about, so why would you say that? Or do we have any data? School may be able to provide you with an increasing number of children over the last 6 months are accessing food programs. Then you would come back to the board or the advisory committee and first of all validate, yeah, it's an issue and here's the data to support it. And these are the examples of potential initiatives we could put in place to be able to resolve this issue. So you would identify the most effective and practical protective factors to address risk factors. Protective factors are things that you would improve on to reduce the risk. So maybe access to food for families itself. So you may have a food bank that has restricted hours. You may want to open up those hours, or maybe it's short on foods. So you may want to increase the volume of food going through your food bag, or maybe it's transportation issues for people that can't access food banks. and you need to figure out a way to get that food to the consumer. You will also identify other agencies or other partners that that should be involved with the initiative in developing it. So it's not always just on the committee and the working group. You may bring other people on board. Once you do that, you can identify benchmarks, meaning that this is where the measurement of your outcome is, and you want to be able to identify whether you're successful or not. So if you deem that we're going to track the number of children that access Breakfast Club as to whether or not our initiative is successful, we should see a decline by 20% in the next 2 months of children accessing it, because we think we're providing enough food to families. And then you would create and submit that initiative to the advisory committee for approval. So you'd have a full plan as to what you want to try and put together. That's a lot to take in, and we're just going to do it step by step as you go along, but it gives guidance to a working group. What do we do next? And the toolkit actually outlines how to do it step by step with fillable forms even. So don't feel overwhelmed if you do about the process. It's really a step-by-step process that we can work towards fulfilling. So that's the basics of a CSWB plan. And really, if you're going to present this to the larger population, you can basically, if somebody asks you a question, well, what do these working groups do? This is a slide that would help you define that. So you would just go through the different steps as to this is what a working group does. And that actually may attract people to be participants on these working groups. So that's all I have for the CSWB. Peter, do you want me to explain anything else or go through anything else? You're on mute.
Yes. Before we do that, I'd just like to acknowledge and welcome Staff Sergeant McMullen, who's joined us. We're glad to have you here, Bill. Your expertise and the team in North Bay that you have will be an invaluable asset to the work that we're going to do here. I know how busy you are these days, so I'm very grateful that you were able to take some time and join us here this afternoon.
Well, glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Good. So, Gary, back to your question. I would like to add just a couple of things related to your comments before we move on to the next item, and that is that, as you mentioned, there may be some other sections, other sectors in the community that we don't have represented on the committee at the moment, but we can bring them in as we need them. For example, I did contact someone who is very well connected with the Golden Age Club in Bonfield, and she was not available today. And in part, your reference to people who perhaps in Bonfield don't have access to the internet or don't have access to high-speed internet or stable internet. And unfortunately, that's a big problem that we have. We're working on that. Council's been working on it. We have a subcommittee in Nipissing that's working on that. Doug LaPlante and I just applied for a grant to initiate a study about how we can become more digitally connected to the world, because that's really where the future is. And I'm very proud of the municipality, because a number of connecting initiatives, we've been at the forefront in doing that. For example, we were the first municipality, the second municipality in Ontario to launch a digital tool called Citizens Alert. And it's a program that was developed in Quebec, and we can provide information of any nature, emergency awareness or things that are going on in the community. Anyone that can that has a smartphone can download the app, and we use that regularly to keep our citizens informed about what we're doing. I'm also going to plan to put a dedicated page on our website, which will be for this project, so that people can go on there. They can view some of the items of the toolkit that are available to the public or that we want them to see, encourage people to get involved, albeit my somewhat unsuccessful attempt today to get this broadcast live on YouTube. We'll fix that, but it is being recorded. So Andre's putting a notice on the website later today that anybody that wants to view this meeting in a recording can go onto our YouTube channel to do that. So transparency is a big item with me, and as it is with the mayor and council here at Bonfield and my colleagues. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that residents are aware of what we're doing, what the purpose is, where we're going, and that if the program and the project is going to work the way it should, we have to get people involved. We can't do this in isolation. And I mentioned to you this morning, Gary, that my colleague in the middle squares there, Hassan, has been working for us for about 2 years now on climate change, but he's also been doing a lot of outreach to community groups in Bonfield and community groups in Nipissing. He's very good at it. And so that's one reason why I asked Hassan to join our team here, because he's good at outreach. A lot of people in Bonfield have met him at Canada Day celebrations. He had a booth there. He goes out and talks to Conservation Authority and the health unit. He'll be a big help to us in getting information out to our members of our community and getting them involved in what we're doing. In answer to your question about what's next, you and I talked this morning about the. Can we talk a bit about what sort of data we need to collect, and then that will flow into the other important item for today, and that is establishing working groups to collect that data. So how do we go about that? One of the things that you'd suggested we do as part of that outreach and collecting data is that we have a survey we'll have a look at before we close up here that we'd like to send out to everyone in Bonfield, just to let them know what we're doing and get some data, some initial data from everyone in Bonfield about who they are, what their concerns are, and that will be very valuable in how we go forward, because we want the plan not just to be a plan that we provide to the province. We want the plan to be absolutely reflective of what our residents want, what they're concerned about, what the residents in Bonfield have on their concern list, their priority list, may be very different than citizens in East Ferris or Teniskaming or wherever you want. So we want the residents in Bonfield to feel that this is their plan, that they had a lot of input into it. They had a great deal to say about what the plan looks like and what it will do for the future of our residents in Bonfield. So I think I'll stop talking.
No, I think that's really good feedback, Peter. There's also a balance. So first of all, I'm not sure how many people on your committee know what the demographic of Bonfield is. I don't know if they know how the fabric of Bonfield is made up of, or what it's made up of. What is the representation of your seniors population? What is your youth population? What are the issues, or are there any challenges around addictions or homelessness or food security or truancy in schools? Those, I think the committee needs to have some basic understanding what their community looks like from a demographic perspective. And that gives you the foundation. So there are going to be some initiatives that you as a committee may recommend that are specific to a group, a vulnerable group or a marginalized group. And then there are going to be some other initiatives that are going to be direct right from the community saying, we think this is a priority. Now, there's never any lack of work to be done. You may actually be overwhelmed with many initiatives. So you will look at data and say, oh my goodness, we need to do safety around walking on our streets because the speeds limits are too high, or like there could be a large number of initiatives that you don't know what to do with. So you're going to have to put in place as well a matrix, a risk matrix that allows you to prioritize what you should be doing first, second, third, and fourth. Beyond that, again, the survey doesn't have to be complicated. And I would ask that what you do right now is keep things as simple as possible to build on.
Just on your comments about demographics, very appropriate. I'm going to send out the actual demographics to everyone after our meeting today. But I can tell you this, that in a variety of surveys that we've done over the last couple of years, and this won't be a surprise to most people in the room here, but some of our newcomers, we're heavily, our demographics are heavily weighted with seniors. We have a lot of seniors that live in Bonfield. Lisa Lard recognized that and was one of the movers in getting a senior citizen housing project on. Lisa understands the role that seniors play in our community, and the other large group is youth, whatever that term means. So I'll send out the demographic information that I have. You were quite right to talk about addiction. Louise from a health unit would be aware of some of the issues there, as would Staff Sergeant McMullen. Our community doctor, Dr. Steinberg, deals with those issues on a regular basis. We just finished converting all our medical records and all of our assets in the medical center to a digital form. So it went light speed into a new era for medicine for our seniors and all our residents in Bonfield. So I wasn't going to ask Dr. Steinberg to sit in on the committee, but he's very interested in what we're doing, and he has a wealth of experience in some of those issues. And certainly he's been with us in Bonfield for the last 2.5 years. And he knows our citizenry very well in terms of health issues and things like addiction and so on. So he's going to be a resource tool that we can use from time to time for data that is required from those sectors.
I think the last thing before moving on, Peter, is that don't forget about all the good things you're doing today. So you talked about internet access. For many people, that gives people a sense of safety and well-being, knowing they're connected to the external world. They're not isolated in their homes. It gives them a sense of well-being. Access to self-care tools through the internet, things like that. So you also have to take stock of what council and your community is currently doing. It's not all about always new initiatives. And you end up creating a repository of all these very helpful initiatives that you're putting in place, everything from road maintenance to lighting on the streets, to curbside appeal, to internet. You should be listing all of those as well, so that you actually know that what initiatives you do have in place today, which may have targets that are longer than 12 months. So it could be a 3-year plan.
Okay, how do you want to handle the survey that I provided everyone and that is on the agenda? We want to send that out. It needs to be revised so that it reflects Bonfield. Some of the items in there we've taken from other communities, so it needs to be tweaked so that it reflects Bonfield. We can talk about that here, or I can enlist my colleagues and some people here in the room. Hassan has done some work on that survey. We'd like to get that revised and sent out to everyone so that it kicks off not just this committee, but our presence in the community. Let everyone know that we're here, and we want to listen to them. That will be priority number one, that we want to impress on everyone that we're here to listen, because the plan is for them. So any thoughts on that survey, Gary, that we want to move on and send out?
2 things. One is you have to make sure your community's aware of what community safety well-being is, because if I get a survey through the internet, I probably won't fill it out if I don't know what it entails. So you'll have to do some sort of promotional activity around, the council Bonfield is on this new endeavor, and we wish to hear from you, and so that kind of thing. And you can do that through different ways, whether it's on your website, promotional cards, whatever it may be, but you need to first be aware that the people you're speaking to may not even know what CSWB means, or have heard that it's mandated by the province. So you have to bring people up to speed as to why they're being asked for this information.
Right, and that's, you're totally right. We need to do that before we send the survey out, if the survey is going to help us at all.
Yeah.
And that was one reason why I mentioned we're going to dedicate a page on our website to this initiative, and we'll get things out. We'll get information out, like using Citizens Alert. We do a newsletter from at least 4 times a year. So we can get material out there to our residents to let them know that we've set up this group and what our purpose is, and to look for a survey that we'll be sending out in the near future that will ask for their input. So that's a good point.
The second is, you have a really good cross-representation of committee members here. You could consider sending the survey out to them so that they fill it out. And based on their experience of completing the survey, we'll be able to provide some feedback.
I will do that. I think again, my excuse for pretty much everything that I fail at is the pandemic. It's not my fault, it's the pandemic. I believe I sent that survey out to everyone, but I will double check that after the meeting and make sure that if anyone didn't get it, they will. What I didn't do is your suggestion, and I like that, is to ask everyone to fill out the survey and also to provide comments back to us as to how we can improve it. So we'll do that in addition to letting the citizenry know that we're who we are and what we're about. So I'll make sure that everybody has that survey and that they can fill it out and offer comments sometime this week.
Great.
And Gary,
Louise has a question. I think I seen her hand up.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say, sorry, there's no raise your hand function. I was just going to say, several years ago, maybe going back 5 or more years ago now, the health unit did like a brand awareness survey. And we sent it out in sort of 2 forms, 2 ways. We sent out a postcard with a link to a electronic form that or survey that people could fill in. And then we also sent out, depending on where we were trying to reach or the demographics, a paper survey. And what we did find is that our older population, even if they did have access to the internet, chose to fill out the paper survey versus an online survey. So just to keep that in mind, that you might want to offer your survey in a couple of different ways. And in some cases, you might even have to, if you're trying to reach some vulnerable populations or populations with lived or living experience, like Gary mentioned, that you might want to even offer it sort of in a verbal format to some of those people and fill it in, have an agency help them fill it in. It just depends on who you're trying to reach, but just to think about offering it in more than just an electronic format.
Very good point. Thank you, Louise, for that. Did anyone else have any comments about what's been said to date? We're gonna ask, we're gonna provide for a brief moment before we wrap things up for questions. But at this point in time, does anyone have any questions or thoughts that popped in their head based on what you've heard this afternoon so far?
You may also want to consider a bilingual survey, especially for Bonfield, I would suggest, eh?
You're right, Bill. You're right. We have and that will be part of our demographics information I'm going to send out. We do have a francophone population in a couple of groups. We have a small group of people in our community whose language is only French. We have some who speak both French and English, and then of course we have a sector of the population that speaks only English. But you're right, we need to recognize Francophone element in our community. It's been part of our history. And again, if we're going to do this right, to get everyone involved, we have to recognize things like language and Louise's point about whether people are more comfortable using digital tools or prefer paper and those sorts of things, whether it's because of need or just preference. So those are both two very good points. We'll make sure we do that. Any other comments or questions from anyone before we move on? So what else do we need to do, or what other things do we need to talk about or do today, Gary, to move us forward? I'm very pleased with the group here, and I'm excited about the project given the group that we have. And this has been a good start. You've done a lot of work in advance for us. And as I said, I'll make sure that everybody has the toolkit. They'll get copies of the survey that you prepared. I'll ask for them to fill them out and provide comments. And we'll look at things about how we roll in language and internet access and so on to how we provide outreach to our residents in Bonfield.
The only other thing is I see so much opportunity with the committee that you have. Are there people on the committee that feel that once you refine your survey, are there people on the committee that would be able to help communicate that survey? So I'm looking at Case Popularitas example. They're in direct contact with the Francophone community in Bonfield, and there may be an opportunity to utilize that venue to get some of those surveys out there and encourage people to fill them out and so on and so forth. Our First Nations representative may look at the survey and say it's not somewhat to what Bill's comment was, this isn't culturally safe and we need to reword some of this. And how do we get it to a First Nations population so that they can contribute and the work you're doing also has positive impact on them? So look out to, you have some great resource sitting around that table, Peter, and so I would be asking how can some of them help you and council get that survey to the people that need to fill it out?
Peter?
Yeah.
I agree with Louise and Gary. Here at the Case, our membership is like 1,100, and we service both English, French. And when I did the survey for the seniors housing, it was all paper, because I would say 85% of our members are still paper, and it's seniors. They're not on the internet. We try and encourage them to go on the internet, but they do not like it and they do not feel safe. So we would be willing to have paper surveys here and hand them out. And I would educate the girls as to the need for this survey, the importance of it. And I believe we could get quite a bit done.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Lise. And I know I'll be talking to Jane at some point in time. I know that Jane will be another valuable resource for helping us maximize our outreach to our Algonquin neighbors and residents.
I can also get anything out to our parent population quite easily. And on the flip side of the paper versus technology debate, our parents are more used to filling everything out electronically. So I can get a survey out electronically and get answers quickly from my parent base that way as well.
Thank you very much, Jill. Ben, did you have something to say?
Yeah, sorry. Unfortunately, I have another obligation at 3 o'clock, so I'm going to have to go.
I appreciate that. I alluded to the fact that I would try and keep this tight. It's been information overload here. It's been a great first meeting.
Yeah,
So
it's been great. I look forward to everything going on, but sorry guys, I got
no,
I got
that
this
I
3 o'clock
totally
thing,
understand.
so,
Now, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here, and I'll get all that information out to you sometime on the next day or two. Okay.
great,
Thank you,
thanks.
Ben.
We'll see you at the next meeting.
You bet. Thank you, Ben. Okay. And there may be others that are in that same boat. I see that we're at 3 o'clock. What other things do we need to say or talk about, Gary? You and I can talk after this sometime tomorrow, perhaps, about things that we need to do to move forward. I've got some notes here, and Kaylee does good notes, and this has all been recorded as well. So, anything of a priority that hasn't been said that needs to be said now, Gary?
No, just the focus again on data and survey. Those are the two. If you go through the implementation plan, that's one of the next steps is create opportunities to acquire data and start to develop your survey. So reach out to as many people as you can, get the information. Don't judge it at the beginning. Take all the data in as much as you possibly can. Sit down as a committee and determine what you want to. You weed it out then, right? So you triage it, what you think is important, what you don't think, and then get your survey ready and do your promotional material around your survey.
Okay.
That really is your next step is really understanding the tapestry of Bonfield through data right now is what you want to do for the committee so they really understand who's out there.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have a, Louise, I see your hand.
I discovered how to raise your hand. Just want to say also to think about what resources are available. So particularly if we're talking about paper surveys, then that's obviously a lot more time consuming in terms of data entry. So to be thinking about what resources are available to support data entry, analysis, and collation of information, and what you might want to ask of the partners around the table, or if there's dollars to support, a student, an analytical student, something like that, just to think about that.
Good point, Louise. Thank you very much. Anybody else have a virtual hand up or a comment you want to make before we bid adieu? Okay, well, again, thank you all very much for showing up today, for volunteering for this task. As Gary has said, and I have acknowledged, I'm very pleased with the makeup of this group, and we have other people out there. I have a list of other people who have said that they would be willing to help in sectors that we are going to need help in. So I think we've started this off on a very, very good foot. And a lot of that credit goes to you, Gary. So thank you very much.
No, you're very welcome. I'm really happy to see the turnout that came Louise, I appreciate the opportunity to work with you because I think you were extending an invitation to lean on you a little bit on survey development and application. And I think that's what I heard. I'm hoping that's what I
so if
heard.
not me, then perhaps others, depending on what's going on with COVID. Our resources are pretty tight, but yes, that's why I'm here at the table.
Perfect. Thank you very much for doing that. The only other last point, Peter, is I think it's important to note that as the committee evolves, so should the coordination of it. And it may take a resource to actually coordinate this work. And a lot of people do have a lot of work to do. So I don't know if Bonfield wants to look at identifying a particular person or a resource to support the coordination. So we always have one person to go to who understands the full picture all the time and can help with the analytics that that we're talking about and the logistics around the coordination of surveys and initiatives. And so think a little bit about if there's an actual human resource or funding for a human resource to be able to put someone in place as the go-to.
I have some ideas about that. You and I talked about it briefly this morning. I'd like to talk to the mayor about it this week. But I agree with you totally. And coordination is, whatever the project is vital if it's done well. it can make the difference. So I have some ideas about that, and I'll talk to the mayor about it, and then back to you, and we'll put something in place if we can.
Great.
Okay.
It was a pleasure meeting everyone.
Thank you all. Safe drive home wherever you're going. Thanks again, Bill, for showing up. Appreciate it.
Peter,
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that didn't get the toolkit or the survey.
Okay. I will deny myself dinner tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Gonna hit that red button. You all disappear.
Yeah.